Hey, what's up guys, it's Apologia here, back with another part of what if Naruto was in a political marriage. Before continuing this, I would like to ask you guys, if you haven't, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel if you like the content of this channel. And without further ado, let's continue our story. Chapter 21, The Missed Opportunities Part 2. Naruto blearily opened his eyes. Sitting up from his position on the bed, he stretched his body out and let loose a wide, exaggerated yawn. After retaining that position for a satisfied few seconds, Naruto reached out to his side to find that Mei had left him alone in the tent. Looking towards the only other piece of furniture in the tent, he found a note that read thusly: "I have to report in the commander's tent earlier than usual. You looked so peaceful as you slept that I didn't want to wake you up. I made some eggs for breakfast. Eat up and have a good day." Indeed, there was a small plate for scrambled eggs next to the note. Naruto stretched out all the kinks from his system and got dressed for the day. It was kind of a chilly out today, which made Naruto wary of the fact that Yujito still had the upper part of his jumpsuit. He sat down and started to scarf down the meal that Mei had cooked for him. Looking around, he found that the tent was strangely desolate. It was normally desolate, but to Naruto it was desolate of one thing in particular: the Nuibari. Eyes opening widely, Naruto started to visually search the room for any sign of this sword. He distinctly remembered coming into the tent with it in his hands at one point, but he couldn't for the life of him remember where he put it. Once he finished the meal and of scrambled eggs, Naruto frantically searched the tent of anywhere that it might be hiding. There was really only one other area that he could theoretically hold this sword, and it wasn't there under the fold-out bed. The only conclusion that Naruto could make was that Mei had taken the sword with her for some reason, so he decided to seek her out at the commander's tent. The commander's tent was easy to find because it was the only structure that differed in any way from the rest of the temporary domiciles. Naruto made a beeline straight for it, unknowingly getting strange looks from any of the rebels that happened to get a good look at his face. The tent flaps were open, affording Naruto a view of what was happening inside. Mei was hunched over a map and surrounded by Jonin-level shinobi, looking anxiously at her, waiting for her opinion on something, no doubt. The Noibari was directly in the middle of the table that they were sitting at, so Naruto decided to sneak over there and grab it, while everyone's attention was directed towards something far more important. Only that didn't go exactly as planned. Once Naruto had touched the hilt of the sword, Mei had shot up to look at him with a piercing glare. Noticing that it was only her husband who was trying to touch the legendary sword, her glare lessened considerably. "Hi honey," she said with an affable smile. By now all the attention of the Council of Shinobi was directed towards him. "How's your morning been?" Now that Naruto was put on the spot and getting mixed looks from a variety of powerful Kekkei users, he got slightly nervous. Good. I was just getting the Nuibari." "Oh yes," Mei exclaimed with a great experience. "We were just talking about that." "Talking about what?" he asked. "Well, I brought over the Nuibari so that I could show them." She gestured to the council. "That it is chosen you. But some of them didn't believe me." "It's not that," a nervous shinobi said from the side of the table. "We just find it strange that one of the legendary swords of the Hidden Mist chose you, politically arranged husband from the Hidden Leaf, as its new wielder." "Well, we'll just have to see about that, won't we, Naruto, if you'd please." Mei waved at the sword that he was still on the cusp of grabbing. Sensing her desire, he picked up the sword by its handle and immediately felt his chakra being siphoned off into the blade. Although this time it didn't adopt a sheen of blue chakra around itself. "It's happening," a rather portly shinobi said from the table. "He's not just pushing chakra into it?" a kunoichi asked from the side of the table. "No, it's being siphoned off." I can sense it, said another shinobi. All of the ninjas presented gave him various appraising looks. So he's really it? Is its wielder? Huh. Isn't the Nabori the most difficult to use out of all of them? He must be related to a Kirishinobi or something. Don't he have any value as a military asset? May looked on with slight annoyance as the council members began to talk amongst themselves about the new development. Walking from her position at the head of the table and towards her husband got them all immediately shut up. This, she said, clapping her hands on the shoulders of her husband, is my husband. His name is Naruto Uzumaki. He is a proud shinobi of Hidden Leaf. He is also the new wielder of the legendary blade Noibari. As far as I know, he has had no ties with Kirigakure before our union. He will work hard to perfect the techniques that were passed down to him by Kushimaru Kureirara. I don't know what the name is, but anyways. But he will not work on any missions that might place him in any risk of harm. Hey, Naruto said in indignation. May placed her index finger on his lips, effectively quieting him. It's not that I don't think that you're strong enough. It's just because you're too important to not only to rebellion but also to the rest of the elemental nations that I'm not going to even consider sending you out on potential lethal situations. May describe the situation is a logical and fair way, but that didn't stop Naruto from pouting. Okay, he said dejectedly. Good, May said with her usual smile. Naruto began to pull away from her grip, but he was held firm in place. May, I need to go train, Naruto said. Okay, honey, but come back from lunch. Yes, ma'am. He tried to pull away again, but she still didn't let go. And don't stay out until late nighttime. Okay, she still wouldn't loosen her grip. And be careful. Naruto was able to twist out of her grip this time. I'll be careful, I promise. He turned to run towards the wood where he practiced the day before. Honey, Naruto turned around slowly with an exasperated look on his face. Aren't you forgetting something? Naruto looked at the Noibari that he was holding, then back at her in confusion. Her arms were stretched out wide, sending the signal that she wanted a goodbye hug. Naruto walked over to her tentatively and encircled his arms around her waist. She bent down to pull him into a straight, tight embrace. It was a warm hug, not warm in the way that she was uncomfortably temperate, but in the way that she put genuine emotion behind the hug. She pulled away from him, but only after giving him one final squeeze. Have a good day, honey, she said to him, beginning to walk back to her spot at the head of the table. The last glimpse of her that he received before walking away from the tent was her face turning back from the carefree face and into a face that spoke of severity. Link break. Somewhere around the Earth country. Ugh. Where the fuck is this guy? Keep your voice down, you might start a rock slide. Deidara leveled a glare at his partner. That's only with avalanches. You can't create a rock slide using only your voice. You think I give a fuck? Shut your mouth or I'll turn you into a true piece of art, Sasori retorted. Deidara sighed into the palm of his hand. For the last time, true art is the momentary glimpse of awe and splendor. Your little puppets don't hold a candle to my true work of art. Sasori shook his head. Art is an expression that can be held from the future to look and behold for the generations to come. Your little explosions can't even compare. A rock shifted on the ledge to their left. They both leapt away from the ledge and into battle-ready positions, ready to face any foe that might come in their way. Too bad for them that the foe that they were presented with was merely a mountain goat that was lucky enough to meet two of the very few S-rank ninjas in the entire elemental nations. Deidara smirked at Sasori outer shell. Looks like we're having goat for dinner tonight. I don't eat. Looks like I'm having goat for dinner tonight. Despite Deidara's word, he didn't make any move to brutally kill the offending animal that was looking at the two of them with slow, wary eyes. Well, Sasori growled out. Deidara's sweat drops. You got a kunai? No. None that are poisoned. Well, I can't exactly kill the thing with an explosion. Sounds like your problem. Well, how am I going to kill it? You're a shinobi. Punch it to death or something. That'll ruin the meat. Then snap its neck, Sasori yelled at him. That thing isn't going to let me near it. Sasori looked at Deidara with motionless, unfeeling eyes. You're a shinobi. Shinobi are resourceful. The mountain goat jumped away from the two of them while they were bickering over the ways to properly kill it. Deidara's sweat dropped once again. Sometimes I wonder about that. Yeah. Sasori began to walk in the direction that they were walking in at first. Come on, we're losing daylight. Deidara followed him. Why are we looking for the four tails again? To seal it away, Sasori replied simply. Yeah, but why are we looking for it? Our abilities aren't exactly tracking oriented. That's who looked into it. Apparently he's around here. Incredulous, Deidara threw his arm around him to show off the ridge that they were walking on. Around here is a pretty vague term. Complain if you want, but I'm not going to go against Leader Sama's order. We've been at this for weeks. Yeah. How long are we going to keep at it? Deidara retorted. Sasori's interest was drawn to the sky. There was a hawk circling above them. Not anymore. It would appear that one of the other squads caught one. Deidara too looked up at the circling bird and groaned pitifully. Does that mean we have to go back? We're going to lose all our progress? What progress? You said it yourself. We've been wandering around a big-ass mountain range for a few weeks with no sign of anybody being here. The only thing that happened in that time range is that you complained for a day on no end and were defeated by a mountain goat. Deidara pinched the bridge of his nose in annoyance. I don't get defeated by a mountain goat. Yeah. A mountain goat walked up to you and you wanted to eat, said mountain goat. The mountain goat got away. You were defeated by a mountain goat. Deidara looked at Sasori with a small amount of eerie. I could have killed it if I wanted to, but you didn't. It got away. Now let's head back. It's a long ways away. Sasori immediately turned around to head into the direction opposite that he was facing. How far away are we from the nearest hideout? Yeah, about 50 miles. Deidara groaned out loudly and started to complain. Sasori's eyes could move. It would have twitched violently. This was going to be a long trip for both of them. Link break. Rebels camped surrounding forest. Despite the fact that Water Country was situated on a large archipelago, there was still a great amount of sprawling forest situated in the island chains. These large forests are known for being temperature in nature and hosting large amount of strange indigenous flora and fauna. I don't know what this means, guys, but you can Google it. Flora and fauna, Fauna. Anyways, on with our story. As it was walking around the twisting trees and looking for a clearing to train in was almost impossible. Naruto had been looking in finding a clearing to practice in the previous day. So because he didn't remember where the clearing was, he had to waste large amount of main hours trying to find a suitable location to practice with his Nobari. The twitter of the birds in the trees was almost deafening to Naruto's ears. The variety of flora and fauna also attracted a large variety of birds and other animals to the forest areas as well. Naruto stopped and looked about him. There was nothing as far as he could see. Only trees, rocks, and roots were visible to him. He could probably have to scale a tree again in order to find the camp in time for lunch. The sound of birds stopped suddenly. Even Naruto, as dense as he was, knew that when animals started to behave strangely for seemingly no reason, there was always a reason. He started looking around him for any signs of abnormality. My tongue is slipping again. Sorry about that. Abnormality. I can't pronounce it. I gave up. It was a good thing that he did too. else he would have been crushed to a pulp by a falling tree trunk. Dashing to the side of the falling trunk, he immediately shot back up and looked to the direction that it fell from to find a source. The tree that fell was tall and he only evaded the upper part of the tree, so as he looked to the source of the tree's destruction, he was only barely able to make out a faintish bluish outline of a person. "Oi!" Naruto shouted out at the blur. It was no use, however, as the bird once again began to chirp up in a frenzy, drowning out his voice. Hopping up on the tree, Naruto made his way to the blur and soon was able to make out the person that the blur was composed of. It was that guy, the guy that came with me to Konoha. When he first met her, his name was Cho something. "Oi!" Naruto shouted once more when he reasonably close to the teen. Chojiro started violently at the sound of Naruto yelling at him. Whipping around to face the sudden intruder, Chojiro sighed and sank to his knees in relief. "Oh, it's you, Naruto-san." He huffed a few breaths of pure precious oxygen and forced himself up onto his legs once more. "You scared me." "I scared you." "You scared me." "This tree almost crushed me." Naruto hopped down from the massive trunk to face his fellow swordsman. Chojiro immediately adopted a nervous and apologetic demeanor. "I'm sorry, Naruto-san. I thought that everybody was out on a mission or downtime. I didn't think that there would be anybody else here out in the forest at this time." Naruto eyed Chojiro critically. The swordman was nervous that he wasn't able to properly face Naruto. The blonde sighed in exasperation. "It's fine." Naruto turned his gaze towards the base of the trees, which had been cut throughout halfways and left to fall over under its own weight. "What did you do to this thing?" Chojiro brightened up a little at the changing of subject. He brought to attention the giant sword on his back, and by grabbing it by both handles and hefting it out of its large holder. "I am the wielder of the Hiramekari. It's one of the swords of the seven swordsmen. I am able to hold a lot of chakra in the blade and discharge all of it in one go. To manipulate it in different structures, I use it to cut a gash into the trees and push it over." "Wow, that's really cool," Naruto said with a raised eyebrow. "Can you do it again?" Chojiro rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "Well, it takes a lot of chakra to manifest the item that I wish, and well, it's also a lot heavier," Chojiro replied nervously. Naruto waved it off. "It's fine then." He looked around the field once more. It was wide and open, allowing for the perfect place to train in the use of the legendary sword. "You mind if I train here too?" Sure. I'm just going to do something strength training and chakra expansion exercises. I hope that I don't get in your way." Naruto created a clone and handed off the notebook to it. The clone ran off to the middle of the clearing with Kushimaru's scroll in tow in order to practice some of the exercises mentioned in it. "I'll join you then," Naruto said, hopping off the trunk to face Chojiro. "But weren't you going to?" Chojiro trailed off and looked in the direction that the clone went off to. "My shadow clones possess of all the knowledge that it gets in its lifespan to me once it dispels. Pretty cool, right?" Naruto said boastfully. Yeah. Yes, I suppose. But wouldn't it make more sense to make a lot of clones and have them train all at once? I guess, maybe, but for some reason the sword doesn't duplicate with the clones. Oh, I see. So, what's your regimen? Chojiro adopted a sheepish look once more. "Well, to start off, Link break." 2 hours later, Naruto hit the ground with a small thud and didn't get up. His chest was heaving, drawing in large amount of air to sustain his body. Chojiro collapsed right next to him, also heaving. Naruto had something that most would rightfully call endurance. Endurance is a term used to describe an organism's ability to persevere under physical trauma under long periods of time. This does not mean that he is a fast like Guy or Lee. This does not mean that he is agile like Anko or Yujito, and this does not mean that he is strong like Chojiro apparently was. This means that he is capable of operating and fighting under large amount of pain, physically trauma and hardship. But even he has a breaking point. The breaking point being extremely strength training. Once Naruto was capable of breathing regularly, he rasped out, "Your training is really intense." Chojiro sat up and calmed his breath. "Thanks, I guess you did a lot better than I thought you would. Do you train in strength? You very much? Sometimes, not that much," Naruto said sheepishly. "Huh? Must be your Uzumaki vitality, then." "Uzumaki vitality? What do you mean? You don't know about your clan? My clan is special." "Well, yes. We at the rebellion employ many shinobis who have a lot of different Kekagen guys. Even though we don't have any with us, everybody knows about the Uzumaki clan." Naruto sat up with a great effort. "What's so special about the Uzumaki?" "They don't have any Kekigengai per se, but nearly every single person is reputed to have lived much longer than the average person because of the reputed vitality as well as having a large affinity towards any sort of searing jutsu. Naruto wins in phantom pain. Another one of his clones had managed to kill itself with Noibari. Naruto quickly spawned another one and it hurtled off in pursuit of the sword. Chojiro watched it wander off with a slight interest. "What do you want to strengthen anyway? Huh?" While Kushimaru was reputed to have only been able to use Noibari to its fullest extent because his body was extremely thin, lanky and agile. "You won't gain very much ability in swordsmanship if you train in strength." Naruto groaned out loudly and sank back to the training ground. "Now you tell me? I'm sorry, I thought that you already knew." "You know any speed programs?" "Sorry. The Hiramekari is best utilized through a large amount of strength training. I don't know any who specialized in speed at the camp." "Speed and agility, huh? I'm going to have to talk to Bushibraus then. For his help on speed, for agility, I don't know." Naruto yelled in his mind. "Hey Chojiro." "Yes, Naruto-san? What's vitality then?" "It's practically a synonym for endurance. So I'm able to fight for as long as I'm usually able to because I was born in Uzumaki?" Naruto asked with slightly saddened tone. He always thought that his arguably best combat asset came from personal ability, not birth. "You are only half Uzumaki. If what May told the rebellion is accurate, I'm not sure how much of your vitality comes from birth and how much comes from your own willpower." The comment brightened up Naruto, if only slightest. The sun peeked from the canopy to glare directly in Naruto's eyes. It was almost directly above them, meaning that it was about noonish. "You said that Kushimaru was able to use Noibari because he was so thin and lanky, right? Does that mean that I won't be able to use it to fullest potential?" "I don't know much about the Noibari, but it's just the way he used it that made him renowned. There are a lot of body modification jutsus that can help make one thin and lanky, but those usually backfire immensely. I still doubt that Noibari would benefit from strength training, but perhaps you could make your own style of using it that complements your body structure." "What about you then?" "What about me?" "Well, you're not a big guy. Your body structure isn't really suited to your sword much either, right? The Noibari has only had one owner, so nobody knows much about how it's being best used. We only have Kushimaru on which to base our conceptions of it on. But the Hiramakari many users suggest that strength is the best way to go with it. So I'm going to continue with my strength training." "Huh. Makes sense, I guess." Naruto stood up, stretching his very sore muscles. "So, what are you going to do now?" Naruto stretched his back for enough to side that it popped several vertebrae. May said to come back for lunch. "I see. Have a good lunch then." "You wanna come too?" No. I've packed my lunch." Chojiro took out a scroll and unsealed a bento. "Cool, I'll see you in a bit then," Naruto said, starting to walk off into the direction of where he presumed the camp was. "You too?" Chojiro called out after him. As this is where I'm going to be leaving this part of, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, leave a like and comment down below. And this is Apollo Chiha and I am signing out. Peace.